Struggling to discuss sex and intimacy with your partner?
Not feeling met, seen, or heard in your relationships?
I'm Janelle.
And I'm Andrea. We're two midlife mavericks sharing our own experiences.
Messy AF and no regrets.
With marriage, divorce, polyamory, and pleasure.
We've learned that when you're brave enough to figure out what you want and ask for it,
with partners, friends, family, and most importantly, yourself,
you'll feel more alive and free.
Question everything, especially your mother's advice.
There's no rom-com formula for this, but don't panic.
Being alone matters. Honey, I can't miss you if you don't leave.
What if your breakup could be your breakthrough?
Our podcast is for brave hearts.
Anyone who seeks or has found the courage to confront their fears and limiting beliefs about breaking societal norms in the spirit of finding their truth.
If you're seeking permission to be brave in your relationships
and want to feel less alone along the way, we got you.
Wow, I had no idea how much tapping into my ancestry could help me know myself better and build a better relationship with myself. It is all woven together.
On this episode, we dive in with Dãmasa Doyle about topics that I know for me are pretty new, and in terms of ancestral communication and looking at our lineage as a way to get to know ourselves. And I'm really excited for brave hearts to feel Dãmasa, actually, as she's talking. I think that is, she said a lot of words that were important and really clarifies what it is that she does and why this is important work for each of us to look at. But more than anything, it's just to feel who she walks with.
Yeah. And then feel yourself as a result. She talked about how when you tap into yourself as a ritualist, she helps people feel more rooted, more witnessed, more feeling in themselves, in their body.
Yeah. A greater sense of belonging.
Yes. Yes. Just truly spectacular work and something that is very new to me and exciting. So, yay. Here it comes.
Enjoy. Yeah, here it comes. Enjoy. Hey,
hi,
brave
everyone.
Hearts.
Welcome to Permission to be Human. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Janelle.
And sometimes we talk at the same time.
And our voice sounds the same, so can you tell who's saying what?
That's true. That's very true. We are really psyched for season 4, and this is part 5 of our 12-part series about how to build a relationship with yourself. Today, we have our first expert. I'm just going to go ahead and introduce her. This is actually her second time on the Permission to be Human podcast.
Yeah, she's our one and only repeat guest so far.
Right. Yeah, she spoke about Burning Man a while back. And so for 15 years, ritualist Dãmasa Doyle has been an embodied shamanic healer and sensuality guide who leads transformational experiences rooted in ancestral ritual, elemental wisdom, and intimacy dynamics. What is that? Her work via ceremony, space holding, and mentorship supports those seeking deeper connection with themselves, with their lineage, and with the sacred. The result is a return to belonging, truth and expression, as well as joy, presence, and purpose. She's certified in multiple somatic modalities, as well as being a graduate of the Priestess of Eros with Om Rupani and Lauren Harkness. Dãmasa is also passionate about being in service to community and 3-hour lovemaking sessions. Yay. She loves a good flogging, and she likes a buttery Chardonnay. Dãmasa, welcome to Permission to be Human.
Yay, thank you.
Did you like your intro?
I did. I totally forgot about the fact that I put in there about my joy of flogging, but yes. I'm like, oh, yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
everybody.
Guess
Welcome
that's
to
true.
me.
Which is perfect since that's what we're talking about today is the permission to be ourselves. So,
Yeah.
Dom, so what I'd love to start with, just because your bio, it's so rich, but there are some words in there that some of our brave hearts might be a little bit less familiar with. So
Hmm.
can you speak to, I'm going to just, we'll go one at a time, what
Okay.
shamanic means when you're a shamanic
Okay.
healer?
Yeah. Shamanic, actually, technically, the word shamanic actually comes, I believe, from Eastern Europe, Russia area, and it actually means drummer. In indigenous
Really?
traditions, yeah. Something similar to that. I'm not quoting the Webster Dictionary, though. Um, and in indigenous practices, the shaman is the person who is leading, who communicates with spirit, connects with the energies that are surrounding us in nature, and also within ourselves, right? So a shaman can connect with medicine spirits, earth spirits, cosmic spirits. So it's really, I say it's like I'm a conduit. I'm a conduit. I am not, healing happens and it's supportive healing, but I'm just the conduit to support that healing. Yeah. That's
Beautiful.
that's what it means for me.
And then the term elemental wisdom.
Elemental wisdom. That is a great question. So in the Dagara tradition, in our medicine wheel, which is it's West African tradition, out of Burkina Faso, the elements are fire, nature, water, mineral, and earth. So what that means is that I use those elements in all of my rituals in some way, somehow. Excuse me. Because those are also the elements that exist within all of us. We walk in our bodies physically, scientifically, in all of those elements. Hmm.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I can feel the richness of this conversation and all these layers here. And the last one I'd love to just define is ancestral communication.
Okay. I really love these questions, right? Because a lot of people are, they come to me and they're confused. They're like, what do you do? I want you to do what you do, but I don't know what any of this means. So, ancestral communication is the connection to our ancestors. And I've said before that we have at least 2,500 major ancestors for us to exist today. That's only if you go back probably 10 generations. It's 10 generations. If you go back even further, there's even more. So within our ancestry, all of that is in our DNA, it's in our bones, right? Um, and so, how do we communicate with that? How do we tap into our ancestors to learn more about ourselves, our ways of being, and the way we walk in the world, the way we see the world, our culture, and that is ancestral communication and connection. And I would add that there are rituals around that. It's there's something that you have to do to activate that communication. And so I support people in the activation of connecting with their ancestors.
Dãmasa, how do you utilize all those different modalities and ways of being and activating to help people build a relationship to themselves?
Mm. I would say the first thing, like building a relationship with oneself, which I think almost all wellness practices shamanic practices, medicine journeys, it's all about that. It's all about everything is about building a relationship with yourself, understanding who you are and what is your purpose or why are you doing these things. And so for me, when I work with people, I'm just saying, like, sit with me. Like, can you, can we look eye to eye, right? I have a practice with clients where, especially when it's ancestral connection, where I ask them to stand across the room from me with their back to me, and then we turn and we face each other and we walk towards each other. And then I ask, you know, can you see me? And then can you see me seeing you? And then this is like this one, so it seems like such a small thing to be witnessed without words, just looking at each other. And so I feel that that helps people right off the bat to connect with themselves, um, and to understand something about themselves of how they are witnessed and how they're able to witness others. So that's a beginning.
So one of the things that I know you bring into your work from my own experience and from witnessing you is you offer touch based experiences to bring people's bodies into connection. And I'm curious
Mhm.
how that supports people's relationship with themselves.
So my belief is that touch is is one of the first pillars of connection. It's what we receive as babies. It's actually what we need to feel nourished, to feel loved. And so when I'm working with someone, moving energy, feeling into their systems, right? I am a channel. I know you're going to ask me about that in a minute because people are like, what? Um, and so I can channel an idea and feeling around someone, but I need to touch them. I need to feel into their systems to see what's there, what's present, but also to see where they're holding in their bodies, right? And most practitioners, masseuses, and all of that, they they do that. We do that. Um, you have to feel the body. You have to feel the system before you can start working on anything. And so that supports people, especially around the things that I do around intimacy, but also ancestral connection is, can you feel yourself? Can you feel your ancestors? Can you feel your pleasure? Can you feel your joy? If I touch you on your heart and you don't feel anything, that's information. If I touch you on your belly and you feel all of a sudden closed down or afraid, that's information. So then we can map with touch what's going on in the body and where people are connected to themselves and where are they disconnected. And then that gives a kind of pathway to okay, this is where we need to work. This is what we need to lean into. This is the area that, I might need to drum around or sing to. There might someone's inner child might be stuck in their knee because when they were a kid, something happened there that was painful. And there's just so much pain there. So it's like we work on that. We we find out what's present and I also ask the body. And I say we because I work with, I'm not just doing this because I'm a channel and because I'm um, a conduit. I'm tapping into the energies of the person, their ancestors, their spirits, and I'm also working with my guides and my spirits.
So I think I'm hearing that, just to really break this down, that this awareness and knowing of yourself is the first step. What's in there? What's going on? Who am I? Where?
Hmm.
What do I need to be aware of in my being that maybe
Yes.
has escaped my attention? Maybe I've looked at it. Maybe I've never looked at it. But what is there that needs to be witnessed and understood?
So Vessel van de Kolk, I hope I said that right, has a book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah.
And what he's saying is that everything that has happened to us lives in the body. It is present there, whether it's hiding or not. So, in order for us to have a relationship, a deeper relationship and connection with ourselves, our desires, and all of the things that we want to create in the world, we have to just get into the body first. And for me, as a ritualist and as a shaman and as a medicine woman, when we get into the body, we get into the spirit,
Mm.
we get into the soul, right? We get into what is does the soul desire? What is the soul? Because the body's speaking, and then underneath that, once the body is acknowledged and touched, the soul starts to stir, and the soul is like, hey, this is what I want. This is what's underneath all of this.
Mm, mm, beautiful. And one thing I've heard you say, Dãmasa, is that in terms of the our ancestors also live in our bones, right? They're
Mhm.
also in our DNA. And so it's our souls, but then it's also like those who are this like walking with us are kind of the foundation of like, here's who we are, getting to a relationship with ourselves, but then who's supporting us in this relationship with ourselves.
Yes, yes. Because relationship is not an individual thing across all time. The indigenous way is that to be in relationship with the self is to be in relationship with everything and all things. You to be in community and connection with all things. We are not separate from anything. So we are not separate from our ancestors. That that energy, you know, is in there. So for example, for me, I've had to do work around some of the pain in order to get to myself and my relationship with myself. I had to do work around ancestors on my mother's side, on that lineage that had been broken, stolen, enslaved. Those women, right, were passing down this trauma that was unspoken at that time, right? It's only recent that we do all of these things. And remember, these women were also separated from their traditions. Uh, and so there was this feeling in my bones, right, when I was really working to connect with myself. I'm like, where is this like bitterness? Where's this anger coming from? What is this? It doesn't feel like it's mine, but I'm carrying this. What is this sadness? And so I needed to tap into that. I needed to be curious about that. I needed to call in those energies and say, hey, what's here? What's here to the women of this lineage? What allow me to see the grotesque, allow me to see the pain, but also allow me to see the joy. Allow me to see how you survived, and then how you were able to thrive long enough for me down the road to even exist. And so there is the beauty of that, right? The ancestors being in the bones, the story that they have to tell to support us in our beingness in this present day is so full. It's a big picture. It's actually, it's more like a puzzle. And we don't know all the pieces are not all in place when we're born.
Braveheart, just take a deep breath. She just named a lot of things. And for some of us, that might be the first time we're hearing some of that.
Mm.
And so this is an invitation to like feel into your body right now. As you even close your eyes, take a deep breath. And feel where those words land in your body. What comes up for you. And just with the noticing, without judgment. Because I know when I didn't know any of this before I met Dãmasa. She has been a teacher and a guide for the past almost 2 years that I have known her to build my awareness around this aspect of my beingness. And so this is an invitation to maybe have one layer revealed to each of us listening.
Dãmasa, you talked about the body, tapping into the body, and how that gets us to spirit. I think I anticipate, and perhaps I've heard before in some Bravehearts or clients of mine, that they're like, yeah, I'm in my body. Like, I'm working out, I'm running, I'm dancing, like, or I'm totally in my body and that feels really good. But I don't know what you're talking about, the spirit thing, right? So can you help tease out the difference between being in your body, working your muscles, and that feeling good, and being in your body that leads to a spiritual presence?
The physical things that you are speaking about can release serotonin and all of these things, Um, and so it can feel really good. It's so good. It's actually necessary for the physical body to really tap into the spirit. There is an intentional presence, and by presence I mean, how are we breathing? Like the breath is the life force of our bodies. It is the gas, actually, of our bodies, right? It makes all the engines go. And within the breath, the spirit lives in the breath. It's moving and it's cycling. Uh, and usually we don't even pay attention. It's just something that's just like, oh, like it just happens. And so to be present in spirit and to reach the soul is through intention, is by sometimes sitting in stillness, actually not thinking that you have to do anything,
Uh-huh.
that you can be like, if I sit for a second right now and I really feel myself and I feel the air around me and I can hear all the things that I can hear. I feel my heart is still a little bit excited, and I'm just feeling into the energy of me inside of me, but also what's around me, right? Because I'm vibrating. We vibrate like sometimes inches, sometimes feet from our actual physical body. And that is our presence. And so if you tap into that and you start to feel, where is my presence? Where is my life force right now? Where where am I? That's not just this physical part of me, right? Then you can start to feel your spirit and your presence. And of course, so many traditions and meditation, like that is what it's about. Is to connect with the spirit of all things. And then once you start to feel into your own spirit, it's an individual thing, and you start to realize your connection to all spirits, all energies, and that your presence is a part of something so much bigger.
Amazing. Thank you. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that was very clear.
So in order to get there,
Mhm.
I'm sure there's some people who are listening who are like, I have no idea where my presence is and where that is in relation to my body. So what are the obstacles that prevent people from building a relationship with themselves?
Mm. Okay, obstacles. There's so many obstacles. There's there's so, and I don't mean that to be scary or to make it sound daunting, but I don't want to underplay the amount of work it takes, right? That it's uncomfortable too. The journey to oneself can be a very uncomfortable
Mm.
path, and that is why some people don't choose to take it. They choose to just be in a, like one dimension of themselves. Um, because obstacle could have happened at birth. How were you born into the world? How were you received by your parents? Were you, like, say, if someone was adopted, and so their obstacle might be a sense of belonging to this, like, where is their seed coming from? Where is the root of who they are? So they might feel loved and cherished, right, by their adoptive parents. And yet there's this yearning for that understanding. Where did I come from? Who am I? That could be an obstacle. There is trauma. Something might have happened, something physical, emotional, mental. That can be an obstacle. Um, for me, a lot of it, of coming back into myself, was dealing with trauma that happened to me as a child and the things that I had to do to protect myself to survive those moments became blocks in my adult life, to relationship, to connection, to feeling like I belonged, right? So I really had to work on that. And it's scary because it's like there's a wound there. If the body holds all of the things and keeps the score, when you start to open those doors and say, okay, I feel an obstacle, right? I feel an obstacle. I'm working with this woman. I'm working with Dãmasa. I feel this obstacle. Now, what do we do with that? Yeah, how do we tap into that? And so obstacles can be, sometimes religion can be an obstacle. Sometimes culture can be an obstacle. Expectation can be an obstacle. The way the people around you see you and how they expect and have known you to show up.
Mm.
And then here comes this other person that is what feels different to everyone. So then there's that feeling of, oh, my community is going to alienate me. If I say I like to be flogged and that is my deep desire, and they don't understand why that would be a pleasurable thing for a Black woman to say, given the history of Black women in this country, right, and what they've gone through. So that for me, to speak for myself, that was an obstacle for me to own that. And I had to do work around that. So obstacles can come and different and for everybody it's different. Your obstacles, even if Janelle, we went through the same exact thing when we were 10 years old.
Yeah.
Because of conditions, culture, expectation, mores, your obstacle, that your blocks that might pop up from that experience, if it wasn't immediately handled and you weren't immediately cared for and acknowledged in it, now it's a block. Might be different than mine.
Mm-hmm.
And it might show up in a different part of the body and a different part of the way we move through the world and through our spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And it can even be if we had actually like we're actual siblings, right? Like our siblings can have different experiences. Like they can have the same quote unquote childhood and have
Yeah.
those blocks speak up.
Yes, yes. And I would say also, speaking about familial connections, I can have an experience, and my parent can have a view and an idea and a totally different experience, even if they were there with me. And so then if they don't remember how I remember, and they're like, "What are you talking about? I was a
Mm-hmm.
great dad. I was a great mom. I gave you everything you wanted. What do you mean
Mm-hmm.
you are stuck in this place?" So that can also be a block because we want to be witnessed. We want people to acknowledge us and our beingness.
So I think I just want to tease another one more thing out. This is fascinating. You mentioned that culture, expectations, religion, different people's experiences can be an obstacle to building a relationship with yourself. And I think, though, we are basically saying that building a relationship with yourself is being the real you. Are you equating those
Yes.
two things? Okay.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Because you, but if you don't know who is the real you, when
Mm-hmm.
you strip you, so you have to strip away the expectation. You have to actually separate yourself, even if it's
Mm-hmm.
just for a short amount of time, from what
Mm-hmm.
culturally, religiously, eh, relationally is expected of you,
Yeah.
and say, wait, am I, Janelle and I were talking about this, am I in action? Is this my true? Am I acting out of my own accord, or am I
Mm-hmm.
reacting out of expectation, out of culture, out of religion? Like, what do I really believe? What do I really like? If
Mm-hmm.
I was fed chocolate cake, I love chocolate cake. If I was fed chocolate cake all the time when I was a child, and I continue to eat it, and then somebody says, "Oh, you really love chocolate cake." And then I have to say, do I really love chocolate cake, or
Mm-hmm.
was it just fed to me? And now I just eat it, and now it's just a habit. Maybe I
Yeah.
should try strawberry cake. And then I'm like, "Ooh, I love, ooh, wait a minute. I actually
Uh-huh.
love this. This actually makes me feel, I love it. This is so juicy or whatever. Strawberries are juicy,
Okay.
right?" And then we start to learn what we desire within ourselves. And so then this is the self.
A courage is required to be willing to question everything that you were fed, that you were exposed to, that you were told, that you were taught.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's then not only questioning other people's expectations of oneself, but what are our expectations of ourselves that are also not true.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
This is what a
Yes.
whole podcast is about. Like, thank you for being here. I mean, we're just like basically circling back to the main core.
Yes. Yes. And that is where, ancestral work actually can come in as well. Because what was expected of my ancestors, what did they have to do? Where did they have to abandon themselves to survive? And how can we connect to that wisdom? Or where, again, where did they question? Where were they in resistance to what was happening to them? And then realizing like, oh, I actually have resistance, uh, and some righteous indignation and this energy also in my bones, and I can tap into that. So I can start to say, you know what? I don't know if I can curse, but like you
You
can
can curse.
bleep this out. But like,
Well, yeah.
fuck that. I'm not I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. I'm not going down this road anymore because it's not a road that I paved. And I have within my lineage examples of how my ancestors have found a different way of being or found in West African culture. It's called Sankofa. It's going back to the past to find the wisdom, retrieving the wisdom there to support our beingness in the present moment that will help us and our future lineage.
Mm, mm.
Mhm.
So that like leads into like when you are working with clients, what happens when they start knowing themselves? It feels like they're
Yeah.
healing something for themselves and the future generation.
Yes, yes. And and the past. It is all of those things, right? It's across all time when we start to be inquisitive about ourselves and what we truly really desire and who we truly are, that is there's a feeling of liberation. That is what I feel most of my clients start to see. This like, oh, wait a minute. They start to see a couple of things. They will realize, wait, I am rooted in something. People tend to think that only Black and brown folk are indigenous. This is not true. Indigenosity is in all of us. We all come from somewhere. We all have practices that are beautiful. Once we start to remember them, then we start to feel like we belong. And I feel that belonging is one of the core wounds of our lifetime. And so you root down into your ancestry and you're like, wait, I came from somewhere. Oh, that's amazing. I belong to people. What we say in the tradition, we walk with our people. So a client might feel all of a sudden, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not in this by myself. And that feeling of connection, like I'm connected to the trees, I'm connected to the water. Actually, I am water too, right? I'm connected to earth, that the fire inside of me, the fire, because people come and their fire is like, whoop, like a little Bic lighter. And then we stoke that fire, right? By rooting in the sense of belonging, by being witnessed. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, I have, not only do I belong, but I am worthy of having all parts of myself be known and seen by me first. It's always starts within. And then showing up and saying, hello, this is who I am. This is what I want. These are my needs. People could start to dial in to what they need and realizing where they abandoned themselves and they weren't asking those questions. Or also maybe where they were, you know, centering themselves in a way that was not supportive to those around them. What people receive when they work with me is they start to feel a sense of belonging to themselves first. They start to feel rooted in um, how they got to this world, you know, through their ancestry, through their lineage, they start to feel connected to their desires and to be able to be witnessed, to be able to speak, and to be able to show up as the fullness of themselves. And that creates a sense of liberation, of not being shackled to this kind of part of ourselves that we didn't choose. And so it's just like releasing those shackles and saying, oh, I'm free. I'm free to be me.
So, Dãmasa, I'm curious. You speak to this Dagara tradition of the West African lineage, but as a white woman, I know that I have worked with you, and I'm not of that lineage. So, I just want to ask the question directly, right? Do I have to be of your lineage to work with you, or can anybody work with you because you're having them tap into their ancestral line, not yours?
Yeah. So you just answered the question beautifully. When I work with anyone, I'm calling in, I'm calling in that person's highest form first. And I am calling in their ancestors. I'm calling in their guides, whatever they are connected to. So you don't have to be from the West African tradition. And actually, in my lineage, I have European lineage as well. I have Asian lineage as well, um, Afro-Cuban lineage. And so it is not, and it doesn't even matter what religion you are, right? I tell people, I've had clients come to me and they say, oh, but do you believe in God? And what about Jesus? And I say, well, Jesus is an ancestor. Because Jesus was in a body. And there's so much wisdom there too. And so if that is what I work with people where they're at. So if you come in, whoever you come in with, whatever traditions you come in with, I honor those and I don't try to replicate those because I don't feel like that's my place, right? I ask people to come in with a photo or with an intention or anything they know or feel that is important for them, for their spirit and their spiritual connection, and to bring that. And so that energy of that is what I amplify what is already there for them.
Yeah, beautiful. But I do, so I hear that so that anyone can work with you.
Hmm.
But I also do want to call out that the reason why you're able to do this, and this has been my experience, is like as a Black woman, right? That Black women have kept this lineage of being conduits, of being connected to the ancestors, that they haven't lost that. And so that's a service that they are providing to all of us on the planet because they chose not to forget where in my lineage it was forgotten.
I would, I would say yes, and um, to be fair, globally, many people have forgotten. They have forgotten their lineage. They've forgotten the indigenous way, their indigenosity, as Elder Malidoma Patrice Some, who was my teacher, would say, who is still my teacher. He's an ancestor now. But many of us, I had to remember. I started the first time I channeled a spirit or saw a spirit, I was 7 years old,
Can you
right?
define channeling
And
now at this moment before we continue
yes,
that? Yeah.
channeling is just opening yourself, you're a vessel. And so spirits either speak or show themselves. Um, it's like you're a portal. And around that, there are permissions and boundaries and all of that stuff. But at 7, I didn't know that. I didn't fully feel connected because I didn't understand and I didn't have a mentor. And so I was just kind of in this weird, I have all this energy and all of these things are happening. I don't know what to do with them. And I bring that up because I'm going to travel to Gabon in West Africa to do initiations in the Bwiti tradition to help support my expansion of remembering and connecting, right? I'm always working on that. And so I don't think that anybody should feel any lack. The way we are, specifically in the Western world, is it's everything's fast, everything is individually centered. We've lost our sense of community in some points and togetherness, and and we all have to remember how to bring that back. Having said that, a lot of the traditions and wellness practices are rooted in Black and Brown ritual, um, and traditions. And that's what needs to be acknowledged, is that there are people, specifically women, who are walking in these traditions and they are sharing and they are supporting, because that's the indigenous way, is to not withhold and not to put a paywall in front of supporting healing. And I think that if we all remember that, um, where is it coming from? Where is the wisdom coming from? Who are we receiving this wisdom from? How are we finding our way to ourselves? Right. I speak about Elder Maladoma, his wife at the time, Sabonfu, also very wise. I speak about Pichette, who is my teacher in Thailand. I speak about Chief Montana, who is now my current mentor and teacher. I speak about all of the spirits of the land and the people who carry in North America, right? The wisdom and tradition and the ways, and how I have benefited from that, how I have benefited from being in circle with other shamans from different traditions. And so it's important for us to honor that and to speak that out and to name it and to name it and to remember, because I had there's a shaman in Peru, and it was my first time doing plant medicine, and I'm not going to go into which ones because then I'll have to do a definition thing. But we were sitting in plant medicine, and this is a shaman that I met, and I said, "Oh my goodness, this was so beautiful. Thank you so much. What can I do to like continue this for myself?" And he said, take this that you received and go back to your land and go back to your people and find your ways and find your practices and be curious about your ancestors and the way they walked this earth, and tap into that and always honor all of your teachers. And so I would definitely say, yeah, honor Black and Brown Indigenous people, right? Where we are getting all of this wisdom from, all of this support of us helping coming home to ourselves, where we learned, you know, how to do yoga. And funny, 'cause, like a lot of the Sanskrit is taken out of yoga practices nowadays, and I think it should be put back in. I don't think that we should homogenize these practices. We should honor them as they are. And where do they come from? West African,
I
Hindu,
learned all the
whatever. And there's,
Sanskrit words. I learned all the
yeah,
Sanskrit words
see?
when I was doing the poses. Yeah. And they're so much more interesting.
Yes. And it's also, it has a vibration. When we say and we use this and we honor it and we speak where it came from, there's a vibration. And that
Yeah.
is what is so so beautiful. And so no matter what tradition, but thank you, Janelle. I always um appreciate that. There's an allyship in a white woman saying, I learned this from this person, from this culture. And that's why I'm speaking it and I'm sharing it on behalf of my learning from. That that's always welcome, always appreciate it.
So, someone listening to this today, right? You're at the end. You're going to tell them how they can find you and learn more. But what can they take away with today as part of their journey or start to their journey of building a relationship with themselves?
Like a few concrete
Like
steps would be awesome.
as far as homework, um, I love this. I love giving homework. I love giving ritual because I'm a ritualist, and so that just means everything to me is like sacred. I would I would love for people to listen, to look around your home. Do you have a spot where you can sit and be with yourself? If you don't, find a spot. It's nice if the sun is shining in a little bit. It's okay if it's not. You can have a little cloth to put on a little rug or anything, a candle, a bowl of water, preferably spring water, not out of the tap. Picture of an ancestor. Uh, Something or someone I would say that you feel that you can be in devotion to if you don't have any pictures of ancestors. And take a cushion or a chair and sit there and take a few deep breaths and say this out loud. My name is, and so I would say, my name is Donna. And I would like to connect deeper with myself, like to connect deeper with the wisdom, wherever they are. Whether I know their names or I don't know their names. And light the candle. A stick of incense is always nice. So you have at this makeshift altar a candle for fire, incense for sweetness, water. If you have a stone or a shell that represents earth, you're also sitting in the earth. You are the earth. And just sit and listen and pay attention and do that practice. I would say do that practice for 4 days. Just go, light the candle, light the incense, sit, ask to connect with yourself, with your ancestors, with the energies around you, and see what comes up and journal about that. And see, a name might come up, a feeling. You might all of a sudden say, oh, I feel like I need to go to, oh, I need to go get this. I need to call so and so. I need to go get in a bath. Listen to that. Trust yourself, trust your intuition. A lot of this work is intuitive. So just trust your intuition and see what comes up and journal about it every day. That's 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 the easiest homework.
Okay. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your willingness to share your wisdom and come on our podcast and to set this like foundational like piece as for people who are starting out to wanting to build a relationship with themselves. So I'd love for you to just to share any projects that you have going on right now, any asks that you have, and also how people can get a hold of you.
I am taking a pilgrimage to Gabon for some ancient ritual and initiation in the Bwiti tradition. There are two very big initiations that are happening. I have started a gifting fundraiser for community to support me in getting there, to support my journey, because I believe that we can't do any of this without community. I've already received uh, some beautiful donations, and so yeah, that would be my ask, is to be supported in that journey so that I can retrieve the wisdom and bring it back to my communities here in the US. Yeah, if anyone wants to work with me, I really tailor my work to the person. So you can go to damasoulsacred.com and you can check out my offerings, knowing that I love to create sessions built on the desire of the person who's in front of me. So
Mhm.
yes, so if there's something that's not there, we can create it.
On her website, Dama Soul Sacred, that's DAMASOULSACRED.com, and her Instagram's on there as well.
Thank you so much, Dãmasa. I really learned a lot today, and I feel your presence.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here and to share this with you all. And I'm excited for your listeners. And yeah, they're so lucky to have you too, supporting them in this work.
Thank
Mm.
you. See you next time, Brave Hearts. Thank you so much for listening. Love you. Love you.
Hey, Bravehearts, looking for permission? Work with us. We offer Braveheart coaching. Follow us on Instagram. Meet us in real life at a Braveheart conversation. Subscribe to our newsletter. Do all this and more at our website, permissiontobehuman.live.